Yeah, shadowy.
Shadowy.
Uh-huh.
Very interesting way to put it. Reverend, hold on. We'll be right back. There is a journey that lies directly ahead. My guest is the Reverend Howard Storm. I'm Art Bell. This is Coast to Coast AM.
Nights in white satin, never reaching the end. Letters I've written, never meaning to send. Beauty I'd always missed with these eyes before.
Take a ride? Call Art Bell from west of the Rockies at 1-800-618-8255. East of the Rockies at 1-800-825-5033. First-time callers may reach Art at area code 775-727-1222 or call the wildcard line at 775-727-1295. To talk with Art on the toll-free international line, call your AT&T operator and have them dial 800-893-0903. This is Coast to Coast AM with Art Bell.
It is indeed. My guest is Reverend Howard Storm, and we're actually at the very beginning of a journey to hell, if you think you can handle it. Fascinating stuff. We'll get right back to it. All right, once again, Reverend Storm, welcome back, Reverend. I do have, if I can ask one question before we continue, just because I know where we're going. You were an atheist, and you were doing what I suppose a lot of people do at that age, but because of where we're going here, I mean, were you a really bad person? I don't know how we're going to define bad here, but I mean, were you a terrible sinner? Were you really out there, an awful person, or just sort of an average person?
No, I thought of myself as a good person.
As a good person.
And I think a lot of people, some people thought I was a nice guy, and some people thought I was a jerk, but...
Well, like life.
Yeah, it was... I didn't break the law.
Yeah, you weren't abducting people. You weren't doing bad crimes or anything like that. Just sort of an average guy.
No, and I was doing what I assumed everybody in our culture was doing, which was trying to have a good life. I had my friends, and we, drank and laughed and told jokes, and
right.
I had a job, and I worked hard and had a family and was providing for them. So I thought I was doing real well.
Gotcha. Okay. Back to the hospital room, and now you're outside the hospital room. You're in the corridor, and there are what you described almost as shadow beings, indistinct beings beckoning you to come forward or come with them.
Right, and we started walking down the hall of the hospital, and at some point I became aware that the hallway of the hospital was kind of endless, and there weren't any walls or ceiling or lights or anything. It was just... We're moving through a space now without any distinction at all. It's just endless space, and we're walking. If I were to try and duplicate this part of the journey, I would have to walk maybe 100 miles or something. It
Wow.
just went on and on and on and on for what seemed like not just hours, but days or weeks.
Do you remember during that time considering whether you were you intellectualizing at all? Thinking, gee, where am I going? Who are these people? Why am I doing this? Is this such a smart idea? Were you doing any of that sort of thinking, or?
Yeah, and at first, my assumption was that these were people from the hospital who were taking me to surgery.
Right.
And then after a while, it was like, this is not working out. This is definitely not the way to surgery, and I don't think this is even the hospital.
Right.
I don't know what this is. And then I would start to ask them questions, and they would send me, shut up. Don't ask questions. You don't need to, you don't need to know anything. And then from that to they started talking about me. It was like, he thinks he's so great. Who does he think he is? And stuff like that. And then I would hear people say, shh, don't scare him. Don't scare him off.
Really?
And so, of course, I'm going from very worried to extremely paranoid.
Yes.
What is going on here? And it's getting, as we're walking along, it's getting darker and darker. And pretty soon it's just abject darkness. And there are now a lot of people around me. At first there was a few. Now there's a big crowd in this darkness, and I'm terrified. And I said, I'm not going any further. And they said, you're almost there. And they started to push and pull at me to take me further into this darkness. And I tried to fight back with them, and I felt very capable. I felt very strong. I felt very alive, and I was punching and kicking and hitting.
It was real physical battle.
Yeah, and there was this mob of people all around me, and if they had wanted to annihilate me, they could have just done it, and it would have been over with, but instead they were toying with me, playing with me, tormenting me, and every once in a while someone would, get a piece of my ear and just rip it off, or, someone's finger would be in my eye, and someone would be gnawing on my Achilles tendon, and, I'm trying to hit back and fight back, and it was ultimately hopeless because there were so many of them and one of me, and around all this was this level of noise of their laughter and their insults and their delight at my struggle. And sort of the more I struggled, the more it gave them what I hesitate to call pleasure, but gave them enjoyment out of my pain.
Uh-huh.
And this just went on. People asked me what it felt like. I said, it felt like what you think it would feel like. It just being beaten and ripped and bitten and clawed and scratched and pushed. And
was there at this point absolute darkness? Could you make these beings out at all in this physical fight?
Just complete darkness. They just felt like people. And what I remember from that is teeth and nails.
Yeah.
And then in the midst of this, they were doing worse things to me, things to humiliate me and tear me down, not just physically, but psychologically. And I don't go there. I don't talk about that stuff.
Why not?
It's too painful.
Was it personal stuff?
Yeah. Too personal.
I only in this area have movies as a reference, and a very great man that I interviewed named Father Malachi Martin, who's now passed away. But he was an exorcist, a Catholic priest.
Uh-huh.
And he said that frequently during an exorcism, the kind of personal psychological battle that you're talking about would occur. Very, very personal. Hitting all the hottest buttons that you could possibly hit.
Yeah.
That kind of thing then.
Uh-huh. Yep. And eventually I was just so broken physically and emotionally that I was in trying to make myself as small as possible, sort of trying to form a ball on the ground of that place, and people were kicking me, and I was so weakened by all of this and exhausted by all of this that I could barely even moan. And I heard my voice but I didn't say it, and I don't know how this happened, but I heard what sounded like my voice say, "Pray to God."